They say an alpha's scent is unforgettable. I didn't believe that until I met him. My name is Eli, an omega who spent most of his life trying to be invisible. In a world ruled by hierarchy, being an unclaimed omega was like walking through fire without getting burned. Every alpha you passed by looked at you twice, some with hunger, others with pity. I wore scent blockers like armor, and I worked quietly as an assistant designer in a fashion company downtown, far away from the chaos of pack life. Then he came. His name was Lucian, the alpha who bought our company overnight. Tall, calm, and terrifying in that way only alphas of old blood could be. The kind whose voice made you freeze mid-breath, whose gaze made your pulse betray you. Everyone whispered his name long before he entered the room. The day I met him, I was in the studio sorting fabrics when the air changed. You know that feeling when the wind shifts before a storm? It was like that. The air went heavy, charged, and something in me recognized him before my mind did. "Are you Eli?" he asked, his voice smooth, too deep, like the low growl of thunder before rain. I turned, pretending not to tremble. "Yes, sir. I handle the concept visuals." His eyes, steel gray, cold, moved from my hands to my neck, then to my face. He didn't smile. Alphas like him never did. "You're the one who drew the winter line prototype?" he asked. "Yes," I replied. I didn't think anyone saw it. I saw it." And then, softer, "It's beautiful." That should have been the end of it. But something about the way he said beautiful made the air feel too thin, like it wasn't about the design at all. After that day, Lucian was everywhere. Meetings, corridors, late-night work sessions where the city outside was quiet, and the only sounds were pencil scratching and his deep voice giving feedback. He never touched me, never crossed the line, but I felt him watching me, felt his scent curling through the air. Cool like rain, heavy like cedarwood. It wrapped around me even when I tried to ignore it. Sometimes, when I stayed late, he'd come by my desk and say, "You should go home, Eli." "I will," I'd whisper, but I never moved, and neither did he. There was a pull between us, one that made my blockers strain. I kept telling myself it was nothing, that it was just instinct, that I wasn't about to fall for an alpha who could destroy me with a word. But denial only lasts so long. The night it happened, it was raining, hard enough to blur the city lights. We were reviewing the campaign in his office when thunder rolled. The power flickered out, leaving only the blue light from his computer. I reached for my phone's flashlight, and he said, "Don't." The command in his tone froze me. Then, softer, "Stay still." He stepped closer. I could feel the warmth radiating from him. My scent blockers were failing. I knew it. The scent of chamomile mine was breaking through. His breath hitched, and for the first time the mask slipped. His pupils dilated, his jaw clenched. "Eli," he breathed, like my name was something dangerous. "You're in heat." My pulse went wild. I backed away, but there was nowhere to go. He didn't move closer. He just stood there, trembling, holding himself back. "Go home," he said hoarsely, "before I forget who I am." And I ran. 3 days. That's how long I hid at home. I thought the heat would pass, that I could scrub his scent from my skin, that I could forget the way his voice sounded when he said my name. But no amount of showers or blocked calls made a difference. On the 4th day, I found him waiting outside my apartment building. In the rain. No umbrella, no guards. Just him. "Eli," he said softly, rain dripping from his hair. "You shouldn't be alone." "I'm fine," I lied. But even as I said it, my voice broke. He looked at me, really looked, and I saw the moment he realized the truth. My scent was thick in the air, uncontained, wild. The suppressants had stopped working completely. My knees went weak. "Lucian," I whispered, trembling. "Please, I can't. It hurts." His jaw tightened. "You need a suppressant." "No," I said, shaking my head, tears mixed with rain on my cheeks. "Please, just make it stop." His breath caught. "Eli, You don't know what you're asking. I do. My voice cracked. Please, claim me. Something in him snapped. Not in anger, but in surrender. He took one step forward, and then another, until his hand was on my face, his thumb brushing away my tears. I warned you I might not stop once I start, he murmured. Then don't, I whispered back. And he didn't. That night was a blur of heat and desperation. The world reduced to heartbeats, rain, and the sound of my name breaking on his lips. When it was over, he was him holding me like I was something fragile. And for the first time I fell asleep without pain. A week later, the warmth faded. The silence didn't. Lucian stopped coming by my office. He sent messages about work, polite and distant, as if nothing had happened. I told myself it was fine, that I had known it was temporary. But one morning I woke up nauseous. Then again the next day, and the next. The test blinked positive. I sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the tiny mark that would change everything. I pressed my hand to my stomach, whispering, "You're not supposed to exist." But you did. I thought of calling him. I didn't, because the night we were together, he never said it meant something. And I couldn't face rejection when I was already breaking. So I hid it. Every ultrasound, every craving, every sleepless night. Just me and the quiet heartbeat beneath my ribs. 2 months later, he came to my desk. "I'm being transferred," he said, his tone all business. "Geneva wants me for the expansion project." I swallowed hard. "For how long?" "Maybe a few years," he said. "You'll be promoted to lead designer while I'm gone. Congratulations." I smiled, because that's what I was supposed to do. "That's great, sir." He hesitated like he wanted to say something more. But he didn't, and I didn't either. Because if I did, I might have told him he was going to be a father. That night, I went home, locked the door, and cried until I couldn't breathe. People say time heals. But time doesn't erase the smell of rain or the memory of a voice that once called your name like it meant everything. The twins were nearly 2 now, a boy and a girl, both with gray eyes just like his. I named them Eli and Lucia, my little moons. They were the reason I smiled every morning, even when it hurt to remember. At work, I was the same old Eli, calm, efficient, professional. No one knew. At home, I was a father learning how to braid hair and tell bedtime stories. I thought he was gone forever. Until one evening, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I was wearing an old shirt, toys scattered everywhere. The twins were giggling behind the couch, playing with building blocks. When I opened the door, time stopped. Lucian stood there, older, sharper, rain on his shoulders again like the universe had brought him back exactly how he left. His eyes widened when he saw me. "Eli," he breathed. "I." Before he could finish, 2 small figures peeked from behind me. Lien blinked up at him with wide gray eyes. Lucia tilted her head curiously. "Daddy?" she said softly. Lucian froze. His breath hitched, and for the first time in years, I saw his composure crumble. He looked at me, then at them. "Eli, what?" I couldn't speak. My throat closed, tears burning hot. He stepped forward, his voice breaking. "They're mine." I nodded. "Yours." For a long moment, silence. Then Lucian dropped to his knees, his hands trembling as Lien reached out and touched his face. Small fingers tracing the outline of a man he didn't remember but somehow knew. Before Lucian could speak, Lucia came running from behind me and hid behind my leg, peeking shyly at him. Lucian's eyes softened. He reached out, gentle but unsure. "Hey there," he whispered. Lucia hesitated, then took his hand. And when she did, he pulled both of them close, wrapping his arms around them as if afraid they might disappear. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered against their hair, his voice shaking. I stood there, watching him hold the 2 tiny pieces of my heart, my chest tight with every emotion I tried to bury. The sight of him, the once cold alpha, now kneeling on my living room floor, broken and whole all at once, was almost too much to bear. "I thought you wouldn't want them," I finally said. my voice barely above a whisper. He looked up at me then, eyes full of shock, guilt, and love all tangled together. Slowly, he lifted the twins into his arms, stood, and walked to the couch. He sat down carefully, the children clinging to his shirt. For a while, he just stared at them, silent tears slipping down his cheeks, as if trying to memorize every small feature he'd missed. When they finally drifted to sleep in his arms, he carried them to the bedroom. I followed quietly, watching as he laid them down on the bed. He sat at the edge, eyes fixed on their faces, a faint smile trembling on his lips. He looked like a man who still couldn't believe what he was seeing. After a long while, he stood and came toward me. He took my hand, firm, warm, trembling. "Eli," he said softly, "you could have told me. I deserved to know." My throat tightened. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. The words came out flat, small, like they'd been waiting for too long. He shook his head, his thumb brushing the back of my hand. "From now on, I won't miss a single moment in their lives, or in yours." That was when my tears finally fell, quiet, unrestrained. He didn't hesitate. He just pulled me into his arms, holding me like he was afraid to let go again. The scent of rain lingered on his shirt, the same as the night everything began. Only this time it didn't smell like goodbye. Smelled like home.